So in this video, we'll take a look at how we can navigate around our patterns and our arrangements in a couple of different ways, and also navigate around parts of the software using the controller. And start by looking at, I've got some drums loaded on Group A here. If we go to my events, you can see I've got an 8-bar pattern. And we touched on the follow feature very briefly, and I've got this follow button down here. So at the moment we've just got this section of the pattern in our view over to the right. So the right is a expanded view or a zoomed in view of this little section. If I hit the follow button, it's going to follow the playhead. So I'm constantly seeing the section of the pattern that is playing. And one way to get it to get in view, say, a section of this pattern and get that to stay in view, is take it off follow when it's playing through that section, and then it stays in focus here. And then we also get the step follow. So we go into our step sequencing mode and we get a similar view of our pattern to the left. If we hit follow, it then starts following the playhead, and then we can select the kick drum, and then it's going to bring the kick drum into focus on the step sequencer, and we can add in some extra kick drums here and there, or look at the hi-hat and it's going to follow that. And you know, that's one way of scrolling through. But if we go back to our events, it's actually a little bit hidden, so you can navigate through this pattern using these controllers. So this encoder here, the knob controller number 6, I can scroll along my pattern there, and that's probably a more convenient way than follow, because you can just go right at the first section of this pattern. Want to look at some stuff in here, select some events, edit some events, and go to the second section. Or I want to bring bar 1 and 2 into view over to the right there. Then I can use this number 5, the knob controller number 5, to expand that view and then shift it over to the left. And I've got bars 1 and 2 now in focus over here. And then you could zoom right in on just like the first beat. And so we can do a similar thing in step sequencing. So we have this one here. Again, it's quite hidden, so you don't know it's going to be doing anything until you click on it. And I can scroll up and down in bar increments, and it's just bringing the hi-hat into focus. So if I now select and select the snare, now I've got the snare in focus, and then I can use this to scroll through and have a look at all my snares. So this one, let's add some extra snares. So that's really cool. And then we also have, in addition to those navigation options, a navigation button. So if I go shift and hit navigate, and I've pinned it up here so it stays in focus, I have some options for navigating around the software. So we've got this same thing. If we switch to the software view and keep the part of the controller in view, I've got this zoom here. So on the software I can zoom in and then scroll along the pattern. So if I wanted to edit anything on the software, I can do. I can bring my modulation lanes up and down. We don't really have any automation, but if I bring the velocity into view, I can hide and show that from the controller. I can activate the follow feature here as well. Bring up the mixer if we want, and expanded mixer view, turn that on and off so we can see more stuff in the mixer, or I can just minimize that, and I can always hide and show the browser on the software from the controller. So loads of stuff you can do navigating around using the controller. And also we're going to come to this more when we look at scenes, but we can switch between arranger. If I take the mixer off and switch between arranger here, and this will now show me my timeline, and this is my timeline, I've got the beats soloed at the moment, so you can unsolo that. So this is my arrangement here. So I can zoom on this, zoom in on sections of this, or scroll along. And these are all my scenes that we're going to start looking at scenes in one of the later videos. But I can bring the rearranger, I can switch back to ideas view. And we haven't really gone over ideas view yet, but this is just where you're sketching out. Users of Ableton Live will be quite familiar with this method of just creating clips. We're creating patterns in ideas view, but we're not committing anything to the timeline. So I could go to my scenes and just delete all the scenes. So if I go to my arranger, there's nothing in the timeline. There's nothing committed to the arrangement. But I've got all these ideas that I can, a bit like a sketch pad really. I've got these various different patterns loaded on these groups, creating different ideas. Nothing's being committed to the actual arrangement. I'm just creating ideas that I might want to use, and obviously we can stack up patterns on here and start to sketch out our arrangement in our head without actually committing anything down. And obviously using these navigation buttons, we can scroll around all of this.